Leaders are very unique people. They have a very simple distinction, and that is their thinking is different. Leaders do not think like followers. Leaders used to be followers, all of them. But what made them cross the line was a certain mentality that kicked in somewhere. Something happened to them that made them think differently. And I normally call that attitudes that influence people. If you want to be an impactful personality, you have to develop certain types of thinking and perceptions that change the way you see yourself and see the world. I call this the spirit of leadership. Now, there are only two animals on the planet that the Creator identified himself with. I want you to write them down. And when I read the Bible, I was shocked to find that there are two animals that the Creator identified himself with. The first one is the eagle. The eagle. And the second animal is the lion. And the lion has what I call the spirit of leadership. And this word spirit here is referring to attitude. A leader has an attitude that makes him or her different from followers. And the lion exhibits that attitude. We have to cultivate the same attitudes that the lion has, because the lion apparently has been given the same attitudes that God himself identifies with, and he put it in these creatures. And apparently you and I are supposed to be the king of the animal kingdom, the rulers of all animals. So obviously we have somewhere trapped on the inside these same potential attitudes.
Honourable Productions presents the resurrection of Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Welcome to Black History Month. For the first time ever, you are going to gain a special insight into the philosophy and opinions of one of the greatest men to have ever walked this earth. We are going to be celebrating a remarkable life and legacy over the next 31 days as I bring you the resurrection of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, a series which will be presented by me, Jermaine Brown, featuring 31 brothers from the community, all chosen to resurrect different speeches from Marcus daily. Now, before we get into the speeches, here's what you need to know. Marcus Mosiah Garvey was the founder and organizer of the largest independent black movement in the world, the Universal Negro Improvement Association and the African Communities League. At the heights of success, the organization had a worldwide membership of over 11 million subscribed members. Now, this was an excellent feat, especially when we consider that this happened during a time of no internet, no smartphones, no social media, and in the midst of 2 world wars. Yet he dared to travel the world, even to non-English speaking regions, spreading his message of self-love and empowerment. This was during a time when it was particularly dangerous for black men and women to even wander outside of their own homes. But these factors did not stop the man in the movement, for he had at his disposal an unmatched confidence. He did not fear failure. He did not care about the laughter and ridicule thrown his way. For he had a fearless passion for the advancement of black people worldwide that fueled his mission. Now, I'm intrigued to know more about the mind of this man and how he accomplished so much and what I can take from him that I can apply to my life today. We've now reached program 6 of our series. Today's talk was originally delivered at Liberty Hall, New York City on July 23rd, 1921. It is entitled Leadership, and today's resurrection is by Romani Edwards from Birmingham, UK.
This is Honor Level Productions. You're listening to the Resurrection of Marcus Mosiah Garvey series.
Right Honourable Members of the Executive Council, members and friends of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, I am pleased to be with you today. I desire to speak for a short while from the subject of leadership. That is, as far as that leadership relates to the great movement known as the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and as that leadership affects the Negro race at large. You will realize, as a serious group of people, that you are living in a serious age. In a serious world, a world without sympathy, a world without charity, a world without love, a selfish, heartless world. This world in which we live is divided up into separate and distinct national groups. It is also divided up into great human groups. Each and every one of these national groups and each and every one of these many race groups is fighting for its own interests, fighting for those things that are dear to it. This conflict of groups and conflict of nations has called for the best in each group and the best in each nation. If you were to take a survey of humanity, if you were to take a survey of the world politically, you will find every little group of humanity striking out in its own domain, whether it be in England, France, Italy, the United States of America, or in Japan. Each and every one is striking out for its own protection. Let it be Jew, let it be Anglo-Saxon, let it be Teuton, let it be Chinese or Japanese, each and every group is striking out in its own interest. Under the principle of self-interest, under the principle of national interest, the Universal Negro Improvement Association strikes out in behalf of the Negro the world over with an interest that is clear to each and every one. It has a national hope that is clear to each and every one of us. At this hour, Frenchmen are determined that they shall be a France, a nation second to none in the world. Englishmen are determined that they shall be a Greater Britain, an empire second to none in the world. The Japanese are determined that they shall be a Japan, an empire second to none in the world. The republic known as the United States of America, under whose flag of protection we live, is determined that America shall be the greatest republic in the world, second to none. And a new hope seems to be springing up throughout the universe amongst the despised group of humanity that has been kept back for the last 300 years. The hope of that group is that they shall be an African republic second to none in the world. In the performance of these desires, the Anglo-Saxons of Great Britain presents within their ranks the best of their statesmanship. They give us a David Lloyd George. They give us an Arthur J. Balfour. They give us an Earl Reading. We turn to the statesmanship of the great republic known as the United States of America, and they give us a Warren G. Harding, Charles Evan Hughes, Leonard Wood, a William Howard Taft, a William Randolph Hearst. We turn to the great empire and kingdom of Italy, and they give us an Orlando and a Marconi. We turn to the French Republic that desires to live forever, and they give us a Jeffrey. They give us a Clemenceau, and we turn to this rising race of ours, and up to now we cannot discover a man. We have searched the world for 100 million of us, and we have not yet found the leaders worthy of leadership of a great race like the Negro race. When we come to match the statesmanship of the world, Englishmen are able to match their intellect to protect the interest of their government, to match the intellect of any other statesmanship representing any other government in the world. And simultaneously, you will find other governments and other races is able to present men capable of foresight, men capable of leading a race and a nation to greater destiny. But apparently, it will appear that whenever fools are to be made, everybody turns to the Negro. The leadership of the past has been a leadership more destructive than constructive, a leadership that misrepresented the true desires, the true hopes of this struggling race of ours. At no time in the history of creation has the Negro ever made up his mind to be a slave. At no time in the history of creation has the Negro ever made up his mind to be a serf or peon. At no time in the history of creation has the Negro ever made up his mind to take a back place in the onward march of humanity. And these things have happened in the past because we have not the kind of leadership to represent the true sentiments of the Negro. The Negroes of Central America, the Negroes in the West Indies have absolutely no compromise to make on the question of liberty, freedom, and democracy for the 400 million Negroes of the world. And I take it also to be the desire and the sentiment of 15 million Negroes in these United States of America. The world has reached the turning point of humanity. The world has reached the crossroads of humanity, when each race will travel in its own direction, when each national group will travel in its own avenue. Let the Anglo-Saxon go the way he desires to go. Let the Frenchman go the way he desires. Let the Teuton go the way he desires to go. We are now organizing the 400 million Negroes so that they can go the way they desire to go. Now, we cannot travel that way without leadership. Where is the leadership? I call upon Du Bois, who for years represented himself as a leader, and I ask him, in what direction are you traveling? And his answer is, wheresoever my master leads, I will follow. I call upon Kelly Miller and ask him, whither leadest thou? And he says, by the bidding of my master shall I follow. And I come back to the 400 million Negroes of the world and I ask, are you prepared to be led that way? And a universal answer comes to me, no, we shall not be led in that direction. And by that answer, I realize that you demand a new leadership, a leadership that will not give up when the hour seems dark, a leader that will start and continue the journey until victory perches upon the banner of the red, the black, and the green. A leadership that counts not for a dark hour is a leadership misplaced. Because in all leadership that leads to liberty, freedom, and human emancipation, there has always been a dark hour. All victories have been won just at the turning point of the dark hour. There is always a silver lining. And the leader who thinks that the dark hour will not come in the struggle of the Negro is a leader who is indeed misplaced. We have seen experiences and trials in the Universal Negro Improvement Association, but our dark hour has not yet come. The dark hour is the hour when you apparently seem to be losing out, yet you have courage enough to fight on until victory comes your way. That is the dark hour which each and every one of you must prepare for. That dark hour may be tomorrow. That dark hour may be 5 or 10 years or 20 years from now. But I want you to realize that you must prepare for the dark hour. It may meet you in America. It may meet you in the West Indies. It may meet you on the battle plains of Africa, but wheresoever it meets you, you must be ready. And you would not be true and loyal members of the UNIA if you did not count for a dark hour. The dark hour may never come, but it is best to prepare for that hour as you march on from one success to the other, because the history of the Universal Negro Improvement Association reveals one continuous line of success, one triumph after another. How many fights and battles have we won? Innumerable battles and fights we have won. And there are other battles still to be encountered, other fights still to be won. Let us prepare for them. If I can interpret correctly the spirit of Negroes, it is for me to say that Negroes everywhere are determined to be free, determined to be liberated, liberated from lynch law, liberated from mob rule, liberated from segregation, liberated from Jim Crowism, liberated from injustice. That is the spirit of Negroes everywhere. It is not found in any one country because Negroes have been taken advantage of everywhere. It is a universal desire, and it is a universal program that seeks to liberate Negroes everywhere. It is well the world knows and understands that as men, we are determined to live as men and determined to die as men. We recognize no Superman in creation. We recognize the equality of men, and because man is equal, we feel that man has no right to take advantage of man. Let the world understand that 400 million Negroes are determined to die for liberty. If we must die, we shall die nobly. We shall die gallantly fighting on the battle heights of Africa to plant the standard that represents liberty. Some people seem to misunderstand us in this African question. They desire us to locate the part of Africa we intend to fight. Now, you know that no general is going to give away his plans. And we never told anyone we are going to fight anyhow. We only say that if you remain there until we get there, what happens to you is not our fault. That is all we say. If you want to interpret that as fighting, that is your business. Now listen, some people try to misrepresent us by saying that we are going to locate ourselves at a certain place in Africa and start fighting from there. I want to disavow any knowledge of any particular place where we are going to start from, because anywhere I land, I am going to start to fight right there. We feel that the time has come for universal action. I really would like to have the world understand the Negro so that there can be no blame given to the Negro for hiding his attitude, for suppressing his intention, for stultifying his desires. The old leadership represented us as a race of beggars. The old leadership represented us as wanting only an industrial school and a few churches. The old leadership said we were satisfied to shout, "Give me Jesus and take the world." The old leadership represented us as wanting to have no hand in politics, but that we were satisfied to cast our vote for Tom, Dick, and Harry of any other race without trying to exercise it in our own behalf. That is a misrepresentation of the new Negro. And if any of the older leaders makes any such representations that are misrepresenting the spirit of the new Negro, that is a warning to civilization. That is a notice to the world. We no longer are satisfied with industrial schools and churches only. We are no longer satisfied to have the vote and not to exercise it in our own behalf. The vote represents political liberty, and the new Negro desires to give his ballot for an alderman of his race, for a congressman of his race, for a senator of his race, and for a president of his race. He says, if you will not give me an opportunity because you outnumber me by mob violence, if you will not give me an opportunity to cast my vote for my own alderman, congressman, senator, or president in one part of the world, I will make it possible to cast it in another part of the world. The new Negro says, not only churches, not only industrial schools, but we want parliament houses, houses of Congress, national museums, national art galleries, great institutions of learning of our own. The old Negro representing the Negro has been satisfied to be a subject without rights is a misrepresentation. The new Negro demands a leadership which will establish his right to rule. If it is right for the yellow man to rule, it is also right for the black man to rule. We say, rule on, great white man. Rule on, great yellow man. And we are now saying, rule on, great 400 million black men. Creation opened with many distinct races. I cannot enumerate them, but creation will also close with those many distinct races. And when the end comes and other races answer here, I am quite sure that Negro will be among those who will answer here. They may exterminate the North American Indian. They may exterminate the Aborigines of Australia. They may exterminate the Aborigines of the various countries they have conquered. But there is one race they shall never, will never exterminate, and that is the Negro race. I would like to see the race that would be so audacious as to make the attempt to exterminate the black race of today. A race of warriors who have never fought. Warriors whose deeds in war have never been reckoned because they have never been performed. They talk about the New York 15th. That was only an experiment in warfare. They talk about the Illinois 8th. That was only a pastime for the boys. They talk about the prowess of the West Indian regiments. Those fellas were only having a picnic. It was a gala day. No man has ever yet seen the Negro fighting at his best because the Negro has never yet fought for himself. Civilization and statesmanship have flattered themselves that there shall be peace. But intelligent students of political economy and political science know that there will be war and rumors of war. And all political students know that the world is more preparing for war today than ever before. And all students of political history and political science know that at any moment humanity will face its common battleground. The world of political scientists know that the conflict may originate in Asia, as well as it may originate in Europe. But to be originated, we know it will, and all races and all peoples are preparing for it. The old leadership of the Negro prepared for nothing. We foresee the conflict of races, and we know that no conflict in the future or at the present can be successfully decided except the Negro casts his vote. I do not only mean politically this time by going to the ballot box, but cast his vote on the battlefield. No conflict can be successfully decided until the Negro has put his hand in it. And I am warning the races and nations of the world not to forget and not to ignore the Negro. The old leadership of Negroes recorded nothing. They have no records of lynch law. They have no records of mob violence. They have no record of injustice. They have no records of segregation. They have no records of brutalizing the Negro. But the new Negro has a record of everything that is done to him. And when anything goes on later on, the first thing the Negro is going to do is to present his record. And he is going to ask you, what are you going to do about it? And you have to decide clearly and positively before he will lend his hand. We appreciate and we love the civilization that we gave to the world. Thousands of years ago, when the white man was a savage, the Negro was the custodian of civilization. The Negro held civilization and in turn handed it to the white man to keep. You will always love your property any way you see it. If I have a suit of old clothes and I give it to somebody, anytime I see that suit, I smile because I loved it before I brought it. And this civilization that the white man has was not originally his. The Negro gave it to him. Therefore, the Negro loves the civilization as held today by the white man. And the Negro, when fighting, will always fight to preserve the civilization that he gave to the white man. That is, to maintain it and keep it. But since the white man has it and claims it, we want him to understand that we are going to fight for it on condition. It is an easy thing to take away something you gave to somebody else. We do not want to take away civilization. We want to shore it up. We say to the white man, take a part of civilization, and whenever your civilization is in trouble, you can call on us and we will help you out of it. But the condition is, give us what is belonging to us. That is all we ask. I feel sure that there is no statesman in the world foolish enough to ignore the fighting force or power of the Negro. I cannot see where narrow-minded men get their argument from. Brutalizing the Negro and legalizing it, Jim Crowing the Negro and legalizing it, when they know that the Negro is a man and nothing can be decided in the world except the Negro is in it. In the time of peace, you kick down a man, you slap him in the face, and when you are in trouble, you want that man to help you? Are you not a fool? I trust the world will understand the new attitude of the Negro. We are not giving to you more than you give to us. Give us a kick, and we return the kick. Give us a smile, and we return the smile. And you know, nobody can smile like the Negro. He smiles broadest and he fights longest. I feel that we are nearing the point where all the races will get together and compromise the issue of life. But not until the Negro is lifted to the highest standard of humanity. Not until the Negro is given the privileges and opportunities of other races. Not until then will we sit around the table of peace, the table at which humanity will end its troubles. This is my message to you today, and I trust you will keep it with you and transmit it to your friends or colleagues or co-workers in the cause of African freedom. Realize, men, that the call of this hour is for new leadership, not the leadership Du Bois gives, not the leadership Martin gives, the leadership that is satisfied with industrial schools, and the leadership that is satisfied with an annual donation from the white philanthropist. And so long as that donation comes regularly, we are satisfied and come to a compromise and want us to close ranks at a time when we ought to open ranks. Remember that the Negro cannot be brought by charity alone. In fact, we want no charity. We are not beggars. We are not paupers. We are not lepers. We only want a chance. At this time, some of the white people say, "You Negroes are getting too impertinent, and because of that, we are going to turn you out of your job and give them to white folks." They don't know that they are doing a dangerous thing. Do you know what government means? Government means the protection of human rights. Government means the protection of the property of the people who make up the nation. Do you know why they keep soldiers and battleships? Not for ornaments, but to protect the nation's property. Just a few years ago, the property of the world was in danger. And they would have lost every penny they ever had were it not for the fact that 2 million black men went to France and Flanders and drove the Teutons out of France and Belgium when white men failed to do it. Do you know that were it not for the 2 million Negroes who fought in the war, the white men who fought on the side of the Allies would have lost everything? Do you know that 2 million black men left their business in Africa, in the West Indies and America, and went over to France and Flanders and Mesopotamia and fought and saved the Allied nations? Let me tell you this. If you are employed by white men and they choose to dismiss you because of your color, tell him, "Brother, you remember the last war? All right, another one may come." That is your trump card. You are not begging for jobs. You demand jobs because you made it possible for them to live in peace. Otherwise, the Germans would have been at their door. You have a fair exchange for money that is given to you. Let them know this, that your future service depends upon present good treatment. Now I must close for today. On Monday, the 1st of August, the biggest convention of races will assemble in New York with 50,000 delegates representing the Negro peoples of the world, who will assemble here to sit for 31 days and 31 nights to discuss the problems that confront this race of ours. We are coming to create new legislation for the government of 400 million Negroes. And already some of the delegates are here, and they are coming from all quarters. By next Saturday, we will have between 30,000 and 50,000 delegates here in New York. Monday week at 9:30, we will assemble in this hall for a religious service to open the convention. At 1 o'clock, we will, 50,000 of us, join in a great parade and march through the district of Harlem. At 8 o'clock, the same night, we will assemble at the 12th Regiment Armory at 62nd Street and Columbus Avenue, where we will officially celebrate the opening of the Second International Convention of Negroes. It will be declared open by His Highness the Potentate Honourable Gabriel Johnson, Mayor of Monrovia, Liberia. I trust all of you will do your best to scatter the information to advertise the convention so as to make a success of it.
You have just listened to an Honor Level production.
So, there we have it. You've just been listening to Leadership, written on the 23rd of July, 1921. Now, this concludes the 6th part of our series for Day 6. And we'd like to thank Romani Edwards for today's resurrection. Romani Edwards has spent 30 years as a community champion, motivational speaker, and development worker, whilst liaising in prisons as a liaison officer. Romani Edwards is also the CEO of British Connection and Executive Officer of 21st Century Garveyism. As you know, in this series, we are paying homage to Marcus Mosiah Garvey, as Black History Month is all about celebration. So join me to give a few shout-outs, starting with Garvey's parents, Mama Sarah Jane Richards and Pops Marcus Garvey Sr. We also want to pay homage to those esteemed ancestors who paved the way for Marcus to appear on the world stage. We also pay homage to the graduates of the School of African Philosophy and all of the founding members and supporters of the UNIA. Last but not least, we pay special homage and tribute to his esteemed wife, Amy Jakes Garvey, who was a formidable leader in her own right. Mrs. Garvey kept her husband's legacy alive, and it is partly because of her loving efforts that we can share this groundbreaking series with you today. Tune in tomorrow at the same time for the resurrection of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, with me, Jermaine Brown. I'm going to leave you with the famous anthem that Marcus Garvey and the UNIA members had wanted to be adopted as the universal anthem for Black people across the globe. Let's take a moment to listen and feel free to wave your red, black and green flag should you have one.
Everybody, you can accomplish what you will.
Ethiopia, thou land of our fathers, thou land where the gods love to be. A storm cloud at night suddenly gathers, oh, armies come rushing to thee. We must in the fight be victorious when swords are thrust outward to gleam. For us will the victory be glorious when led by the red, black and green. Advance, advance to victory, let Africa Africa be free. Advance to meet the foe. Advance to meet the foe. With the might of the red, the black and the green. With the might of the red, the black and the green. O Jehovah, thou God of the ages, grant unto our sons that need the wisdom thou gave to thy sages when Israel was sore in need. Thy voice to the dim past has spoken, Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hand. By thee shall all fetters be broken, and heaven bless our dear motherland. Advance, advance to victory, let Africa be free. Advance to meet the foe, advance to meet the foe, with the might of the red, the black and the green, with the might of the red, the black and the
On a Level Productions, taking you to higher heights.